girl. She puts the colors inside of my world. She's just like a maze where all of the walls are continually changed. I've done all I can to stand on the steps with my heart in my hand. I started to see maybe it's got nothing to do with me. Fathers, be good to your daughters. Daughters, be love like you do. Girls, become lovers, turn into mothers. Mothers, be good to your daughters too. Oh, you see that skin? It's the same she's been standing in since the day she saw him walking away. Now she's left cleaning up the messy name. So fathers, be good to your daughters. Daughters, be love like you do. Girls, become lovers, turn into mothers. Mothers, be good to your daughters too. Boys, you can pray, find out how much they can take. Boys will be strong, boys soldier on, but boys would be gone without warmth of a woman's good heart. On behalf of every man, looking out for every girl, you are the God and the weight of her world. So fathers, be good to your daughters. Daughters, be love like you do. Girls, become lovers, turn into mothers. Mothers, be good to your daughters too. Mothers, be good to your daughters too. Mothers, be good to your daughters too.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to invite you all to stand up and sing this tune. We all know this, so sing along, follow on the chorus, and follow on the verses if you'd like.
Must have a home that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hand did slowly go by. Told you you wouldn't cry, so just look at them and smile, and know they love you.
tender years. Can't know the fears that your elders grew by. And so, help you, they seek the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, the children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the ones they pick, the ones you know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and smile, and know they love you. Let's do that again. So teach your parents well, their children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the ones they pick, the ones you know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. Just look at them and smile, and know they love you. Nice, good singing.
Good job, everybody. One of the things that we're going to talk about for the next 2 weeks, it's the beginning of school. We're going to be doing this little series this week and next week. It's about this kind of universal experience of having to train your parents. And we'll talk about this a little bit more as we go along. But for now, I just invite you maybe to close your eyes for a second. Just draw to your heart, exactly what it feels like to have to discover life from the beginning of the moment we gain consciousness with the guiding hand of a parent. How was that experience for you? How is it going? Holy One, each of us, from the moment we were sliding into this world, had an experience that shaped us. What we sometimes forget is that we shaped them too. As we open our hearts and minds this morning to whatever wisdom may flow between us, guide us ever more towards that knowledge that we are loved and that we live in love. This is our prayer. Amen. I invite you to take a few moments and greet the people around you with signs of love.
We do a little song here that's a story about parenting gone all wrong. Or as the case may be, just right.
Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much to Ma and me, just this old guitar and empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him, 'cause he run and hid. The meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, he went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought it was quite a joke. Got a lot of laughs from a lot of folks. Seems I had to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red. Some guy would laugh and I'd just bust his head. I tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, it was Gatlinburg. Well, we got to come back around to this one here. Here we go. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My fists got hard and my wits got keen. I'd roam from town to town to hide my shame. But I made me a vow to the moon and stars that I'd search the honky-tonks and bars and I'd kill that man that gave me that awful name. And it was Gatlinburg in mid-July. I just hit town, my throat was dry. Thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. An old saloon on a street of mud, and there at a table he was dealing studs. Sat the dirty mangy dog that named me Sue. Well, I knew that snake was my own sweet dad from a worn out picture that my mother'd had, and I knew the scar on his cheek, an evil eye. And I looked at him and my blood ran cold, and I said, "My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you're gonna die." That's what I said. Looked him right in the eye. Well, I hit him hard right between his eyes. He went down, but then to my surprise, he come up with a knife and cut off a piece of my ear. Since then, I've had it surgically replaced. But I busted a chair right across his teeth, and we crashed through the wall and out in the street, kicking and a gouging in the mud and in the beer. I tell you, I've fought tougher men, but I can't really remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. Said I'd do that once. Well, I heard him laugh and then I heard him cuss, and he went for his gun and I pulled mine first, and he stood there looking at me, and then I saw him smile. He said, "Son, this world is rough, and if a man's gonna make it, he's gotta be tough." And I knew I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I gave you that name and I said goodbye, and I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and it's that name that helped to make you so strong. He said, "Now you've just fought one heck of a fight. I know you hate me and you've got the right to kill me now, but I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in the gut and the spit in your eye, 'cause I'm the son of a gun that named you Sue." You were worried, weren't you? Isn't that nice? Everybody knows the song so well, they're just waiting for that moment. Is he gonna do it? There's another version out there. Well, now I got all choked up, I threw down my gun, I called him my pa, he called me his son, and I come away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and then, and every time I try and every time I win. And if I ever have a son, I think I'm gonna name him Bob or Charles or Harold or maybe Jimmy, but not Sue. No way, not Sue. I hate that name. And maybe Jimmy Sue. Maybe we'll do that. Thank you.
Now large crowds were traveling with him, and he turned and said to them, "Whoever comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not first sit down and estimate the cost to see whether he has enough to complete it. Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will begin to ridicule him, saying, "This fellow began to build and was not able to finish." Or what king, going out to wage war against another king, will not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to oppose the one who comes against him with 20,000? If he cannot, then while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for the terms of peace. So, therefore, none of you can become my disciple if you do not give up all your possessions.
Sing this with us. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and we will feel alright. Let's try that again. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. As it was in the beginning, one love. So it shall be, and now forevermore. Give thanks and praise to the Lord. We will feel alright. Little saxophone. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and we will feel alright. Just your voices. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and we will feel alright.
Maybe just close your eyes for a moment and let this be that time where we take a few Sunday morning moments on a long Labor Day weekend. Maybe you've gotten a few of these in already. Or maybe not. Maybe you've been kind of running around chasing after football teams. Funny how just a few deep breaths and a chance to just seek stillness can make all the difference. As we draw quiet, often there are Lots of little things that want to jump in and fill the space. We spend some hours every day asleep and often the rest of our time distracted, bouncing like pinballs off of every concern that flows through our day. Sometimes it goes on for so long that even to just become quiet and still for a moment, all our body knows to do is just fall asleep. It's good to just remember how it feels to be awake and still. To be mindful. So maybe in these moments, just see what flows in and notice it with some gracious attention, but not let this be a time of continuing that bouncy pinball thinking. What are the voices and images that have been pushed away? Things like pausing to say thanks, the recognition of the gift even of 106 degrees. Maybe just the consciousness that you are living a life.
Table set for 6 and 5 were there. I stood outside and kept my eyes upon that empty chair. There was steam on the windows from the kitchen, laughter like the language I once spoke with ease, but I made mute by the virtue of decision. I choose most of your squeeze the sky out, but there's not a star appears. Begin my studies with this paper and this pencil, and I'm working through the grammar of my fears. Oh, mercy me, what I won't give to have the things that mean the most, not to mean the things I miss. The unforgiving choice still is the language or the kiss. Yes, it is.
Okay, so this is the point where all of the people who are parents in the audience have to cover their ears, because we're going to do a little training. We're going to talk. I know most of you are not young, but those of you who are still being actively parented, this is for you. Now, some of you probably still are, even if you're like 50, you're being actively parented. And that's a part of what I want to talk about, you see, because it seems to me that though we have a tendency to think that parents are the ones who are always teaching kids and their young people, that the actual reality is that from the moment someone is born, they begin training their parents. Is that not? Can I get a witness to that? It's true. It is true that from the moment you were born, you began training your parents. So parents right now need to cover their ears, because I'm going to talk to the rest of you about some ideas about how to train your parents well. Okay? And so the basic idea in this is, we tend to think that parents are always telling us what to do, telling us how to be, telling us how to act, telling us where to go, telling us who to go with. And in the process of all of that, feeling directed to do all this different stuff, it's easy to forget that they're trying to tell you stuff that's for your own good. Because the more you don't do what they are trying to tell you to do, and you do other things, the more you begin to train them to do that more. It's true. Can I get a witness? This is the great secret to be learned by all those who are being parented. It is the ultimate guide to being parented and to training your parents well. Now, I just draw as an example, think of the animal kingdom. All the birds and the bears and all those creatures out there everywhere who are having the same experience we are in some way, some form or fashion. It is a universal reality that all beings come into the world, at least similar to us, as fairly fragile and pretty needy creatures, and they require some aspect of parenting. A bird, the parent teaches the bird to fly, sometimes seems to kind of kick them out of the nest. But they're there, feeding them, nurturing them, until they get to a place where they're ready to try to do it on their own. This is my experience of working with parents who are having a hard time with their kids, is often some dynamic happened while they were still in the nest. Maybe the baby bird didn't like the flavor of the worm. Or maybe the baby bird got a little jealous of the way the other baby bird in the nest was getting a little more worm than they were getting. There's lots of little dynamics that can happen in that bird nest. And sometimes lead to baby bird wanting to kind of stay in the nest a little bit longer. I got a few issues I want to work out. Can I get a witness to that? Okay, come on. There's some of you in here that you wanted to stay in the nest a little longer, didn't you? You wanted to get a little more of that nurture that you didn't think you kind of got your fair share of. So there's some dynamics that can happen in the nest that lead us to a place of sometimes requiring of our parents something else, something more, and when we get it or don't get it, we react in ways that sometimes just make it worse because we train our parents. We're training our parents all along how to be our parents. So, for example, when I was a kid, all I wanted when I was about 6 years old was my own bicycle. Why? Because I wanted to run away. Not really, but I wanted to get further away. Nobody else felt this way? I wanted to travel the world, which really meant about 6 blocks. And I wanted to experience a wide variety of experiences that were not available unto my backyard. For instance, the culvert down the block, and particularly the hill about 3 blocks away, which I had experienced only a few times with my parents riding on the back of their bikes at very moderate speeds that didn't seem to quite fit my desires. And so having my own bike is what I wanted more than anything. And so what I began to do was express my desire for my own bike, right? Now, my parents had bought my brother a bike, and my brother's bike had no gears, and it had non-inflatable rubber tires. Yes, I am that old. And so the experience of riding his bike was not exactly what I wanted. But what I found was the more I pestered them to get my own bike, the more they finally kind of gave in, and they bought my brother a brand new 3-speed, and guess what I got? Thank you. So what did I do with that one very hard rubber tire bike? Well, as soon as I had a chance, I went to the hill. I got on that hill. I went down it at about what felt like 100 miles an hour. And at the bottom of the hill, I had never quite noticed there was kind of some loose gravel and a necessity to make a hard left. Needless to say, my mother learned some lessons about first aid that day, and I began training her on how to handle a boy who seemed hell-bent on scraping every portion of his body. I experience all of our journey of trying to just be our own person, find our path, find our own journey, as being this kind of dynamic tension between how our parents train us and how we train our parents. And I will tell you, I've worked with so many families and so many young people, and I can hear them calling right to me in my ear right now. I feel their presence with me even in this moment. And that dynamic that happens sometimes, maybe you've seen this, that happens when a few little things seem to go wrong, maybe sibling rivalry or maybe some issue between brothers and sisters, right? And then someone begins to act out of some kind of need for attention, some need for more power, more control, and pretty soon the parents will begin to react to that and begin to, this one of the children now has less freedom, less power. Have you noticed that? So like the more I, as a kid, will be like striving against my parents, the more I set up a scenario in which they start having to feel like they have to strive against me to help teach me how to fit in or how to relate to other people. It's a stuck dynamic, isn't it, that happens for us sometimes. And so what I often will end up saying to 12, 13, 14-year-olds who I'm in the process of trying to support them kind of getting in a better direction in their lives is, what you want, you will have. The question is, how will you have it? If you're 12 or 13 and all you want is more say-so over your life, more sense of freedom to go try out your own hills, there will come a time for you that will happen. And the more you push to make it happen now, the more you see you're training your parents to be more careful, more cautious, more protective. It's the parents' job, of course, it's their job. If you look at all of nature, what's the parent's job? The parent's job is to love their child. Well, in some cases, maybe, but mostly in the animal kingdom, it's to teach the child how to survive. If there's anything a parent owes a child, it's to help them learn what they need to learn to survive. And so when parents experience kids having challenges and they're not accomplishing anything and they're beginning to become really rebellious and pushing back, then parents naturally begin to react with more oversight. And so often what I've found is that by helping young people begin to just kind of chill and relax and recognize that there's a process here. There's a journey. A year later, I got the bike. I got my own bike. It had 6 speeds. And my brother was jealous. And I learned to be a little bit more responsible, having been grounded from riding bikes for about 6 months. As I began to take more responsibility for my own behavior, my parents didn't feel a need to have to take responsibility for me, of course. And they began to give me more freedom. And by about a year later, I was riding not only just around the block and around the neighborhood, but, I was riding my bike to the store, riding my bike to school, and experiencing a lot more freedom and choice because I hadn't trained my parents to be more involved in trying to keep me safe, because I showed them that I could be responsible and safe. I trained them to trust me. So this is the big secret. Parents, cover your ears. This is just for, and those of you working the cameras, just focus in on my face here for a moment, because I'm going to say something just for those teenagers that are going to tune in and watch this on the internet. You got it? Okay, we're good. Am I this camera right here? Oh, back here. Okay. So pay attention and make sure your parents are out of the room right now when I tell you this. You're training your parents on how to trust you or not. When you train them through showing responsibility that you are trustable, amazing things will happen. First of all, they'll begin to treat you like you were already an adult, and they'll begin to, instead of being authoritarians and bossing you around, they'll begin to make agreements with you about what's supportive for you and for them. And then as you make those agreements and you show you're responsible for those agreements, they'll give you more freedom to take on more responsibility and more responsibility. And pretty soon, you're going to be responsible for your whole life, which in actual truth is what all of the animal kingdom is all trying to do for their kids. And all kids are trying to do in moving in this direction from their parents. Okay, you don't have to zoom in on me anymore. So the idea that I'm suggesting to you young people today is, though it may feel like kind of pushing and pushing and pushing and hating your parents for not giving you what you want now, finding a way to recognize that you really do have a lot of power and control in the way that you decide to live up to their expectations, take on responsibility. And as you show your responsibility, I guarantee you, you'll find yourself moving into more and more freedom and more capacity to do what you want to do and live the way you feel. And you will stay connected in a supportive relationship with your parents. What happens when we don't do that is often we lose the crucial kind of support that we need throughout life to continue to find that kind of nurture that we might want at different times. And the people in our families who can be our best friends and most supportive folks, we want them to continue with us. Now, everybody, every family, every sibling, brother and sister are going to have conflicts. It happens all the time. You can't not have conflict, but you can deal with the conflicts in a way that help you learn and train each other to be more trusting and more connected and more loving. What I most want with the family that I live with day to day is an environment where I can be free to say and feel what I feel. And if we have conflict, we find a way to understand and learn from each other. Now, I'm going to talk as a parent. I have raised 2 daughters. That song that Brad sang just a little while ago, I have this close feeling about because my daughters have been just the most amazing blessing to me in my journey of life. They've trained me. They've trained me to be an adult. When I met my first daughter, she was 5. And she took me from an adolescent 25-year-old to being a person who had to begin to learn how to be responsible and how to support a family. And it trained me in many ways about how to open my heart in ways that I had never allowed my heart to be open before. And I also had to, for the first time as a parent, learn how to have boundaries and say no, because all I wanted was for us to be happy together. But she had other plans. She needed to see how powerful she was and learn how much control she had. And she needed to learn how to manage her own emotions by testing mine. You didn't realize that, parents, did you? That that's what they're doing. They're trying to see and train us. You see, they're trying to learn how to regulate their own emotional states, which can be kind of wild. And so they'll do something kind of wild and see how you react emotionally and then how you manage that emotion. So if I freak you out by showing up an hour late from curfew, how do you manage that feeling? Because I'm trying to learn how to manage it myself. When I set off your embarrassment over something I did at that party you wanted me to go to with you, how do you manage your embarrassment? Because I'm learning from you how to manage my own embarrassment. When I see you getting really, really excited, how do you manage that excitement and not have it pour over into some things that become destructive and non-empathetic with others? How do you modulate your own excitement? I'm watching you. I'm learning from you how to do that myself. Sometimes, as a child, I'll do whatever I need to learn. I will trigger that for you so I can watch and learn. So teach your children well. Teach your parents well. More next week.
Let's stand up and sing together. We'll sing Let the River Run, and as we're singing, if you have an offering, bring it forward at this time.
So let's take each other's hands. A quick announcement or two. I think if you go to the next slide, PowerPoint, you'll see the announcement for a gathering that we're going to have on October 27th. Mark your calendars. Elizabeth Wills and Doxy and I think maybe a couple other people are going to be playing in the little band shell at Trinity Park for us. And we're going to have some food trucks and just a big gathering out there when it actually is not 106 degrees outside. So think cool thoughts out by the river, and hope maybe the new bridge will be in by then. We'll see. We're also registering people for all kinds of fall programs. There's a little information in the back of your bulletin, but if you haven't gotten on our mailing list about some of that, be sure and give us your email today so we can keep you up with a lot of the groups and things that will help you grow and stay plugged in. So we'll say a prayer. Holy One, as we go from this place, we recognize that we are a part of a great, great pattern of life. That pattern seems to follow this over and over again from the beginning. Birth, growth, giving birth, parenting, being loved, loving. It's the great pattern of our lives. Help us be good at it. Help us be good at giving each other that kind of love and respect and care. That's our prayer. Amen.
You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's help slowly go by. Your dreams, the one they pick, the one you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you will die. Just look at them and sigh, and know they love you. Years can know the fears that your elders grew by, and so please help them with your youth. They seek the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, their children's hell will slowly go by. Told you you will cry, to just look at them and sigh, and know they love you. Johnny, I don't think I want to do Johnny Cash. Well, I got.
You thought we'd reprise Johnny Cash?
I got through it. No, that's a prettier song.